This is the podcast Who Remembers, and in this episode, we are remembering the World Cup Italia '90.
The very first draw in Britain's new national lottery.
Sinclair believe their C5, Britain's first mass-produced electrical car,
for something called the internet.
Dot shafting, that's good, but none of the locals go paddling. Yeah, that's warming.
No bottomless gate! I can't speak!
You can't win anything with kids.
Pac-Man, one of the superstar video games in the business.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
get fooled, we can't get fooled again.
Remember when it's the lowest form of conversation.
World Cup, Italia, 90, Liam. It's where it all started. It's where it all started for me, and it's where it's all started for you, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to go into too much into it. We're re-recording the first half of this episode. We've only recorded 5 episodes up to this point. We've lost one, and we lost half of another one.
Yeah, so, and this is yeah. So it's it's going well, but you have a few technical issues that go along the way. But because this is not really. This is something I could talk about, I reckon, for 7 episodes. So I don't feel bad that we're re-recording it.
Oh no, it's not. It's not a hardship. I think.
No, if someone had asked us to do, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something
Buster
like
Merrifield.
If we had to come on, you've got to do Buster Merrifield, and we said, all right. Then and to be honest, we haven't re-recorded Barrymore. Do you know what I mean?
We might do that though at some point.
We might do that, but this one was an easy one to re-record.
Yeah, this was quite easy, and I think the reason that we this is absolute sort of the pinnacle of football for me. Not necessarily in quality. No. And I think you've obviously got some stats about goals scored and all that kind of stuff. But just in terms of impact on my life, this is obviously we're remembering things, and this is absolutely a real sort of key memory. Like this is me in a caravan in Whitby in 1990. I would have been
not
7 years old.
Like Italian night. It's not like that's what it was. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about when you were in a caravan in 1990 watching that. I suppose that's what we are doing. Yeah,
I'd been to football matches before then. But I can't really tell you anything that happened in them. I mean, there is a John Gannon moment, actually.
John Gannon moment, but that's for another day, innit? The John Gannon moment. But yeah, I was the same. I've been to some Sheffield United games, but I had no interest in them. My dad just used to take me along and say, like, come on and try and get me into it. And I wasn't bothered at all. And I genuinely fully remember, and obviously we've sort of talked about this in the first recording, so I know you're the same. We both have the same night that got us into football, and that was England versus Belgium, World Cup second round.
David Platt goal right at the end of the game.
And that's it.
It's the first time I ever have a really vivid memory of football. It was kind of my bedtime, but I was sort of being allowed to stay up late, so I was sort of hovering around watching it. I thought it was going to go to extra time. I can't say I remember much else about the game, to be honest, but I just remember this moment at the end just being the first time I've ever sort of had that real euphoria in football. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, like I say, I wasn't bothered. I always remember my mum said, why don't you go and watch second half with your dad? Oh, football's boring, Mum. I want to play with my He-Man figures. I was only like 20, now 7. It's a joke. But yeah, and then I did, and I got so invested in it, completely invested in it. And by the end of this tournament, I sort of knew all the players' names. I was going to Sheffield United games every week for my sins. But like I said, we talked last time, obviously, that Italia 90 is now seen completely different to how it was at the time. It's seen as one of the worst World Cups ever. It did have the lowest goals per game average, 2.21, of any World Cup tournament. Really defensive. That dull at the back pass rule had to be introduced into it due to how boring the games were. The offside law were changed to favour the strikers because they were that, the people were that defensive. It were like they had to change it to help the strikers. And Mark Austin on ITV News on the night of the final, because when I was watching back, I just put Italian night in, and it were news report on the final, and he said that the final, which spoiler alert, West Germany won 1-0 in a terrible game. It said the final was that final summed up the whole tournament and called it a mediocre World Cup, and we hope for better next time. And now we sort of see this as like the golden era, don't we, of like football? And I don't think it's just because we were young.
Though, if we'd have been, I'm interested by that though. I don't know if we'd have been sort of in our 20s at a time.
Yeah.
If there is anyone older than us that has a sort of capability of using technology, then let us know what was it like in your sort of late teens, early 20s to watch a tournament that seemingly was so dull? Because all I could tell you about it is there were real moments. That's what I remember it for.
That's it. Yeah.
People
World Cup of
talking about
moments.
things at school the next day. Camerooni loonies, we call them. I don't know if you're.
Yeah. Well, the Cameroonies, I thought they were called.
Oh, right.
Very disrespectful for a team that should have realistically beat England in the quarters, which we'll get to. But
They
I just remember
had a lot of fun about them. They were dancing. There was Roger Milla that nobody
loved the
knows
foul,
how old he
loved the
was.
bloody foul. Yeah.
And yeah, just things to talk about. I mean, Schillaci obviously sort of came to front. This was the first time I can recall on the playground scoring a goal and sort of running around saying Schillaci.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just seemed to create legacy memories, this tournament for people our age.
It were a tournament of unbelievable moments. I imagine if you watch every game back, which I haven't, I bet it's shit. But you don't remember that. You don't remember how boring. Man United versus Bayern Munich, 99, were it? When Man United came back. Everyone said, what an unbelievable... But I remember that game. Man United were shocking in that match. Like, they ate the post, I think,
only
just
the last
before.
few minutes that kind of got exciting.
But no one remembers that. Everyone said, what a moment. They won the treble. And this is what this is. This is why this... I think what I love about this tournament is it's the moments that make football. It doesn't matter how crap... You know, we're talking about this game now off the back of a playoff final defeat for our team, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And Sunderland United, in my opinion, were pretty poor in that match. But they're not going to remember that. They're just going to remember that last-minute goal. And that's what it should be, football.
Yeah, definitely. And this just... I mean, not only did it have the moments, but... The timing was good for us, like in terms of sort of being able to stay up to watch some of the games.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the sort of flares in the smoky grounds in Italy. I don't know. I suppose obviously as well the very iconic Nessun Dorma, which I actually thought was the theme for the tournament. But no, right on that.
It was just used as the theme for the BBC. I don't think it was the theme of the tournament. I think it was just the BBC used it. It was a brilliant line from Des Lynam on the first episode when they use it, and he said, "You'll all be humming it later." Because it's quite a brave move, really. I think like to use an opera piece.
Would the BBC have had more games, or was it split? Was it?
Do you know what I read into this? There's I think it's called. I can't remember, something Carousel website, and it goes through every single football game that was shown on BBC and ITV from like 1980 to 94 or something. And I went down the World Cup one. There are a lot of games in this World Cup. You'd never get this now, where they just didn't bother showing some games. Not because they were playing at the same time. They were just like
we can't Romania, can we? EastEnders is on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's mad now that you'd never get that. Every game is on, not just because on the BBC Three or whatever. They're all on the main channels. Look, I think this I'll get on to later, but I think this kicked off football in a massive way, this tournament. But like I said, another thing for this, what I loved is the mascot. I think he made a big impact on me as well. Chow. Do you remember them Coca-Cola balls with his...
Yeah.
With his face on it, Chow.
Size... What were they? Size 7 or something. They were a little smaller one, weren't they?
I don't think anyone our age didn't have that. Everyone our age had that.
Yeah, a little ball, yeah. And... I mean, we said it on a previous recording, but just in case anybody listening has a similar memory, for some reason it's been sort of tied up with a Panini thing in my head. I kind of thought that emblem followed Panini through in the sticker books. I don't think it did. I just had it in my head that
in the Panini man. I mean, we used to have a mate who were really thin. And we used to call him Panini. Yeah, because Panini stick was in like stick man. But I don't know if the Panini man is like a stick man. I've got that in my head. I'm not sure if that's true.
But Chow was sort of made up of the tricolor, wasn't he? I don't know.
Tricolor of
with
the
Italian
football
flag segments.
I said this to you last time. The only mascot ever in World Cup history not to have a head. It's got football for a head.
Yeah,
I mean, sort of a head, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a head. It's just a football.
Remember, Hey Arnold, move it, football head. You'd have definitely said that to him. But anyway, the tournament starts. And the first game of the tournament, I think, is really... I think this sums up the tournament. The first game sums up the tournament better than anything. It's Argentina-Cameroon. Awful game of football. I watched it back during COVID because there was nothing else to do and FIFA put all these games on. Shocking game of football. Maradona, best player in the world at the time, kicked to death. 2 Cameroon players are sent off. I've shown you this foul since, actually. I don't think you'd seen it in the first time. That unbelievable foul on Kaniga with his 3 Cameroon players in a row, when they just booted him. And what he loses his boot. And in fairness, Argentina were around for the diving at the time and stuff. Kaniga's still trying to... He's got 1 boot on. Another man just comes in and absolutely takes him out. It's incredible. Cameroon was they were shooting from halfway line. They didn't give a shit. They were just like... so dirty. No one remembers that. All people remember is Cameroon beating the champions at the time, Argentina.
Yeah, and I remember him sort of being jolly and happy. I don't think back to him as being a particularly dirty team, but
they were
certainly
so
in this game,
dirty.
yeah.
And it were brilliant because everyone hated Argentina because of all the Maradona cheat stuff. Like everyone ate and everyone like, yeah, get stuck into it. And he said Jimmy Greaser, the St. Greaser, I think, were on every day at the time. Imagine that now. I'd love that now. Obviously, they're both not with us anymore, but you know, when they were here, it wouldn't work now, would it? It'd be rubbish. But Jimmy Greaves said, I don't even think you get away with that tackle in Twickenham, Saint. And guess what Saint did?
I bet he went.
yeah, like slapping his leg and all sorts. Yeah,
it's a funny old game.
It's a funny old game. But yeah, all you remember is Cameroon. Cameroon were a huge memory, as you said, in this tournament. Like I've got the shirt.
I still remember
here.
the kit. Yeah, well, I think probably because I've seen you in it, but I still remember the kit very vividly.
Not as good. Yeah, my Adidas bits fell off it. I'm not happy about that at all, but I'm still going to wear it.
Yeah, stick with it. It's done you well on it so far in life.
Mm.
But yeah, no, brilliant. And obviously, I don't remember that first game, but I think you're right in terms of setting the tone. It seems to be like I don't know, a bit less flair. I mean,
yeah.
Did the Italians sort of play with any flair? I know they're sort of famously defensive, but I imagine them as being quite a bit more flamboyant in this tournament.
No, Italy were really... They only conceded 1 goal all tournament, and they really struggled in the group.
Schillaci scores about 7 times in every game.
I think they beat the USA. The USA plays the first game, and I think they lost 5-0 to Czechoslovakia. You can get... I don't know what it is. It might be CNN. Or whatever it is, or it might be Fox Sport, whatever, doing the coverage of it, the American. And before the Czechoslovakia game, there's all these Americans, like, it's the first World Cup since the 50s, and they're all going, I can see us getting a point today, man. I can definitely lose 5-1. So then they play in Italy next, and they're all going, just keep the score below double figures. And they only win 1-0, Italy. So they really struggled to score. Baggio and Viale, I think it were. And then the main man comes on. We'll talk about him now, in fact.
Roberto Baggio, would it be in this one?
Roberto Baggio, yeah. Most expensive player in the world.
Dino Baggio's more sort of like USA and France, weren't they?
Yeah, Dino Baggio. He's his brother, isn't it? But obviously Roberto Baggio 4 years later, I remember for missing that pen. We might do that. But obviously Italy, everyone remembers Totò Schillaci, and he's a great story, a real unlikely hero. Played 1 season in Serie A up until this point. And they were really shot pick for the squad. He was like 5th choice striker. He had a decent season at Juve, but it wasn't.
Del Piero, would he be?
He wasn't around on this one. He might have been playing, but he weren't in the Italy squad. Like I said, it was Viale were like one of the best strikers in the world. Yeah. He had hair as well in this tournament. Gianluca, but he had a really poor tournament. So Schillaci comes on in a game where they're really struggling to break down. I think it's Austria. And he scores, and he never looks back, and he ends up with 6 goals and the Golden Boot. But what's really interesting about this is what's amazing about World Cups is he disappeared after this in an international sense. Yeah. He only ever scored 1 more goal for Italy and never played for him again after 1991. In this, I love what World Cups can do, where you can have a month. You could be shit your entire career or average your entire career. I mean, this, do you know what I mean? This 1 month, You've taken over your country.
For our age group, and maybe people older, I doubt younger, but cement yourself as a legend for a good month in football. If I was listing like real iconic world players, I would put Schillaci in there. And obviously, you take this tournament out, and he isn't.
No. I mean, the closest I can sort of think of it in an England sense is in the World Cup we got to the semis. It's a really crap team. I think Harry Maguire were amazing in that. And he's like genuinely be going down as like a Bobby Moore figure, if you know what I mean, if we'd have won that World Cup. Or Lingard.
David Batty.
David Batty. He had a good tournament in 98. That's what I mean. There's players who just like turn up for these tournaments. Trevor Sinclair in 2002. He only played because he had loads of injuries. And he were incredible. He could have been a World Cup winner. Obviously, Schillaci's on a massive different level because Schillaci ends up as the top goal scorer in the tournament. And then just disappears. And incredible. I love World Cups for that. Roger Milla he's another one you have to mention. Everyone knows about. He's obviously his dance. Do you like his little dance? Do you ever try to do that in the playground?
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, like a little samba move, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I remember. I love Cameroon absolutely because again, it's the first tournament, and they'll always have that place in my heart, Cameroon, because I just love that. I love the fact that they used to shoot from the halfway line for a kickoff, even as a kid. I think, man, everyone just do that. Goal's massive. And then one of the best moments in the tournament, in fact, is when Higuita, who obviously did the scorpion kick, which we should do a whole episode, by the way, on that scorpion kick, because every time I think about that. What a mad thing to do! That
every time somebody's putting together a compilation of World Cup moments, that will be in it. It has to.
But it's not a World Cup. That's not a World Cup moment.
Oh,
it was just friendly against England.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, all right, it's only a friendly, but why would? How do you even? I can't imagine even what's going through his head. Anyway, that's for another day. But he's doing that he was the first sweeper keeper, really, that I know of, anyway. And he used to come out almost like to the halfway line, and everyone went, "Oh, what's he doing?"
What about Grobbelaar? What do you have something to say about that?
Grobbelaar did, yeah, but Higuita, he used to take free kicks and things like that, and pens and stuff.
Really high up, didn't he?
Yeah, madman. And in this one, in the with Argentina Colombia second round, Roger Milla nicks the ball off him as he's outside his area, runs it into the net, and then does his dance. And I love that again as a great moment. Two really colourful kits. Colombia and Cameroon got both of those kits actually, and then Higuita doing his thing, getting robbed by this 38-year-old. But no one actually knows his his age, do they?
Well, no, there was sort of the old thing, weren't there? That he sort of said he was in his late 20s, and it turned out he was in his late 30s or something. I don't know whether that was ever proven or not.
I can't say.
Let's just enjoy him.
Let's just enjoy him, man. I can't say that this happened, but I will be amazed if Des Lynam didn't look at when they were doing replays or whatever. He's the oldest swinger in town, or something like that. Do you know when he's doing his dance? Yeah. He definitely will have said that. And if he hasn't,
if you're off out tonight, just remember, you might be good on the dance floor, but Roger Milla is king of the swingers.
Yeah. Good night. Da-na-na. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely amazing.
If he didn't, he missed the trick.
Yeah, he missed the trick. So Cameroon gets to the quarterfinals, which is the furthest any African nation had got to. And that's record held until Morocco got to the semi-finals in the last World Cup. And they were still dismissed as a joke, like you said, Cameroonies or Camerooni Loonies or whatever they were called. And England got him in the quarterfinals. And Howard Wilkinson, who was like a scout for England at that time, said, he did his report. He said, "This is a bye. They're that." But I don't know why he thought that. They'd already beat Argentina and Colombia, two decent sides. He said, "This is a bye." And then in the tunnel, as they're warming up as they're coming out, should I say, all the Cameroon players are all singing and stuff. And Bobby Robson says, "Oh, you do a good Bobby Robson. You don't do a good Bobby Robson, do you?"
This is shoehorned in, isn't it? So,
well, it is. But
in the second half, we reference back to me
Yeah.
doing an impression. So we got to try and fit it in again. But I can't quite remember how I did it. But I was trying to do a Bobby Robson impression.
So Bobby Robson said, "Look, about the Cameroon player. Look, they're singing because they're scared. So if you can do a Bobby Robson,
man, they're singing, man, because they're scared."
Yeah, it's Chris Waddle. You can't do.
Yeah, so you said it sounds like Waddle. So I said, no, well, what I'll do then is I'll do Chris Waddle doing an impression of Bobby Robson.
Yeah. So do it again.
Oh, just remind me what he says again.
He says, look, they're singing because they're scared.
Oh, weird, man. They're singing like because they're scared, right?
He can't see, man. Imagine if Bobby Ross says, "They can't see, man. They can't even see." And anyway, but then one of the Cameroon players turns around and says, "Mr. Robson, we are not scared of England. We do this every game." And they were like, "Fucking hell!" And he said they were all massive with like sweat pouring off them, that hyped up for it. Completely outplayed England. It's another match that I watched in COVID.
Rocky, innit? He's getting killed out there. He ain't getting killed. He's getting mad.
He's getting mad. Yeah. And Cameroon battered England. I've watched this game back. Probably the best game or second best game of the tournament. I think the two best games of the tournament actually involved England. The one we'll come on to is the West Germany one. This is an unbelievable game. England go 1-0 up. Platt scores again. And he said, it's there, but it's Brian Moore, actually, a really underrated commentator.
Yep.
It's that boyish smile again, and obviously Platt puts one in.
I could do Chris Waddle doing Brian Moore if you want.
Go on then if you want.
That's all right,
you should do that. Should be your little thing, like your stand-up thing.
But
yeah, so he scores Platt. Cameroon are all over us, absolutely all over us. They get back into it. I think they get a pen. Gaza gives a pen away. Then they go 2-1 up, miss loads of chances. Shilton pulls a couple of good saves off, to be
Can you
fair.
believe it?
Not really, because quickly Kevin had touched on this many times, but he's the worst penalty saver in the history of football,
Yeah.
Peter Shilton. Is it something like 3 saves in his entire career? I'm not exaggerating. I think it is something like
There
that.
is something in there where, obviously, like Letizier's got this sort of really iconic, scored 50 out of 51 or something, and he's almost like the opposite, isn't he? Like saved 1 out of 50 or something.
It's not a joke, this. I think it's something like faced 80, saved 3, which is unbelievable.
It can't be that, but it is something ridiculous.
It's something. I swear.
I
think
live research.
I don't know how many penalties. Like I say, we're treading on. Well, quickly, Kevin, not going anymore. So fuck him.
Peter
Shilton, penalty in. Put it in. Penalty saves.
Penalty. What would you call it? Like record?
Penalty record. Yeah. But they get a penalty in this, actually, Cameroon, as I said, and they obviously score it. I'll carry on talking as you.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm on transfermarket.com.
Will they tell you how many say? Anyway, and then England really luckily get a penalty. It's a great ball from Gaza. Lineker's brought down. Gary Lineker! He scores the pen. Then they get another penalty.
Sort of second half of this is where we're going down the England route. Are we?
Yeah. No, because I just want to talk about the Cameroon Loonies, really, rather than anything else. And then England get another pen, and Cameroon, by that point, of like they've run out of ideas. But I think it's Chris Waddle falling off. He comes off the pitch at the end of the game and he says, "I'll let you say it again if you want." He says to Howard Wilkinson, "Some buy that was." Can I try it?
Who said that? Robson or Waddle?
Waddle said it to Howard Wilkinson.
Oh, yes, madman. That's some buy that is.
Jamaican. Unbelievable. So Cameroon are out, but massive memories of Cameroon. And the other boys in green, your boys in green, few people, you don't like to talk about it that much, do you? But you are from Ireland, aren't you?
My dad is from the Emerald Isle, so I do that thing that lots of English people do, where
plastic paddy.
Yeah, cling to their Irish connection.
But in
the 90s, me saying I wasn't Irish, but it's kind of become this thing that I've sort of claim to be Irish now. So
always going on about the Irish. But to be fair, it wasn't that cool as far as I know, looking back. To say you were Irish, quite cool now, obviously, to say you're Irish. Certainly, like, I don't know, they've completely changed. So they're like this says on Partridge, gap tooth simpleton. What was the other thing he said? Whatever he says anyway on Partridge about the Irish. The unemployment really high and stuff in Ireland and all this sort of stuff. And obviously the troubles are going on and all that. And it's so good, how big football can be for countries, because although I don't think the Irish team doing well in this World Cup changed the finances of the country or whatever, we get all that. It's the first real time that you see in a World Cup that, come on, we're going for the crack. Do you know all the Irish people going out to Italy?
Yeah, that documentary that you sent me, that's the woman who plays Mrs. Doyle, is it?
Yeah.
Sure, we were there for the crack. Like, it's that whole.
We're never going to win that thing, we were going all for the crack, and that was the first time I remember seeing all their fans on the show. All our fans are obviously England fans are fucking fighting and getting into trouble and stuff. And I just thought, well, that's normal football. Then I see these Irish lads coming out.
Sorry, this is absolutely insane. This.
Go on.
I thought you must have hugely exaggerated. In his career, he saved 3 penalties. And his total non-saved penalties was 108.
What?
Oh my God, that is outrageous, isn't it?
There's a big thing actually in the semi-final that they say
less than 3%. It's like
bit of a myth actually. A World Cup myth is that Dave Besson were on the bench for the semi-final against West Germany, and people say, because he was a really good penalty. He saved a penalty in the FA Cup final for Wimbledon. Everyone said he was a really good penalty stopper. Massive guy, used to be called Lurch. That was his nickname. It's a myth. It's a myth, though, because he wasn't on the bench. It were actually Chris Woods on the bench, who, as a Sheffield United fan, I've seen him make many a mistake. Yeah, terrible for Wednesday every time I saw him as a kid. We used to say
Chris Woods like a spuds, but I don't know if that's just because I'm a United fan.
And it rhymes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. So Chris Woods probably wouldn't have made a difference. But Shilton, certainly, once that went to penalties.
Against Germany as well. You might as well just not put a keeper in and hope that puts them off so much that they kind of miss the target.
Imagine that. You've got it at the target. Imagine if you don't hit the target with no keeper. I bet, honestly, I don't know, Lineker would have been better. I think he'd have had a better chance.
If you just stood your water bottle in the middle of the goal, I reckon it's got a similar percentage chance of saving it.
I remember after Shilton always saying, I dive the right way for everyone. And you were like, Yeah, but they were in fucking net. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we're going on to England later on. So, as for Ireland, Ireland obviously, but again, it's another thing people forget. Ireland was shocking. Ireland, their 0-0 against Egypt in the group stages is often cited as the worst ever World Cup game. So great footage after that on is it RTL, the Irish channel? What does the Irish anyway? RTE, sorry, and yeah, that'll be right. And Eamon Dunphy. He throws a pen in anger, and Jack Charlton refuses to speak to him after and stuff because he's saying, "Oh, this is the worst of Charlton football and all this sort of stuff." They didn't win a game all tournament, and they got to the quarterfinals because they got 3 draws in the group, and then they got to obviously then they got the penalty shootout win against Romania, which everyone remembers, and Pat Bonner save, and then narrowly went out to Schillaci's goal against Italy.
I assume as well, was this the sort of first major tournament where you had all the sort of English-born players popping up?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think big Townsend were in there. I'm watching. It come up on my YouTube.
I mean, there were Cascarino, Ray Houghton, Townsend. There's others, isn't there?
Paul McGrath was Irish, weren't he? In fairness, Jack Charlton obviously weren't Irish himself. He's obviously you could do a Jack Charlton as Chris Waddle if you want, same accent.
I wasn't born in Ireland, but I consider myself an Irishman.
Brilliant. We'll get on to the 1994 one where you can have a big talk about Jack Charlton's white cap that he wore in that tournament.
I love the concept of anyone wearing a smart white shirt, a tie, and a huge baseball cap. I absolutely love that.
If people don't know what I'm on about, just type in Jack Charlton 1994. He looks ridiculous. He's really smart with a massive baseball cap on.
He looks about 70. He looks like my granddad a little bit as well.
He's unbelievable. So Ireland obviously gets to the quarters, get knocked out. And we're talking about the home nations, obviously. Well, Ireland aren't the home nation. That's one of the things they don't like to be called. In fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Republic. They'll not be happy be called the home nations. But they obviously get the coverage that the British teams do. I'm sure we should mention Scotland. And as I said to you last time, Liam, what did Scotland
do? I think they did nothing, didn't they?
They got knocked out immediately in the first round as usual, so that's them.
I bet once again though, I bet they were massively confident they were going to win it. I love that about the Jocks.
The best thing about
every tournament, they think they're going to win it.
By far, the best thing about Scotland, and I have a massive sympathy for this as someone who supports a crap team myself, is they always have that. They don't often just get hammered. Every game,
it's a plucky effort.
Yeah, so what they normally do, and they did it in this World Cup, they started, right, we've got Costa Rica, we're going to beat these easily, these are crap, who's ever heard of Costa Rica? They lost 1-0, and everyone's going, oh my God, Scotland disgrace. Then they play Sweden, who were an outside bet to get into the final, semi-finals or whatever, beat them 2-1, and then they play Brazil, and they're so close to getting an equaliser that I put them through. They lose 1-0, a really good performance, and they go out.
Alan Brazil, to a solo Alan Brazil.
Yeah, but it's like you say, they are so funny.
Scotland thinking back then, presumably you'd have Strachan, you'd have Hansen,
Stuart McCall, you've got
too early
Ali
for
McCoist. No, McCoist is there. Yeah, Ali McCoist is there. It's got some really good players, and again, like I said, when they lost to Costa Rica, here they are.
Andy Gray, would Andy Gray be finished by then?
I think he'd finished by that point. Gordon Jewry, top flight player.
Soon
played the game. No, he'd gone by then. I think he was managing Rangers, but classic Scotland. They get there, they give all the fans hope, and then it's like what we said last week about Silvio. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. So that's that. And that's it.
Yeah, I think, should we leave it there? Move on into the previously recorded second half of the episode. So let's, I think we should probably try and remember England's journey, what we can of it. So obviously you've done some research, I'm assuming. So pre-Belgium, don't you? So take us through the games then.
So England weren't great, actually. Again, it's another one of those things where people remember this England team massively differently as it was. They had a terrible performance in the first game against Republic of Ireland. They had a really good
Ireland's group. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The first game. It's when Gary Lineker shits himself, isn't it?
Yeah, which sounds crazy, but yeah, that is a thing, isn't it?
So he shits himself, and then for about 4 or 5 years, they don't really do it anymore. Every time Gary Lineker tweets, someone used to put shat on. So whatever we're talking about. So
that's crazy, isn't it? Why? What happened there then?
He had a bit of stomach issue before, and he were running, and he felt himself going, and he shat himself, and he had to sit on the floor, and he sort of wipes his arse against like the turf, yeah. Shat on Gary Lineker.
Against
So on
turf,
Twitter,
like a dog.
so on Twitter for ages, like it just puts them up like, I don't know, good win for Chelsea, and someone had put shat on Chelsea. Like whatever he would talk. Imagine him today, like, oh, I don't agree with the war in Israel, shat on Israel. Like that sort of stuff. But yeah, he's and then he did come
Amazing
out
he's sort of got any credibility.
but after shitting himself live on air.
No, I meant after the woke stuff.
Oh yeah.
No, I did mean the
There's a Lineker with that pre-woke, he shit himself. That's how like unwoke he were.
Yeah, it's what a journey that is.
Yeah, what a journey from shitting himself there. But yeah, he shat himself against the Republic of Ireland in a 1-1 draw. Then we had a really good performance against Holland, but we drew 0-0. And we squeezed past Egypt 1-0. So it was crap, really. Weird thing about this group, by the way, is Republic of Ireland and Holland, or the Netherlands, as we're supposed to call them now. I haven't said that. Yeah. And then, they had to draw lots because they finished on the same goals, same points and everything. So they had to draw lots to whoever finished second and third, and Ireland won the lot, so they ended up playing Romania. Yeah, and Holland ended up playing Germany, and it's when, do you know when Rijkaard spits on Rudi Voller's hair twice?
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible, but because he's got that perm, it sort of sticks in his hair. And like looks around like it's horrible. Yeah. Anyway, back onto England. So, but I think
is that still theoretically possible now? Then, because obviously we have all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it is possible that in a group stage you'd have to draw lots. That just seems like something's not right there.
Sepp Blatter is there. There's coverage of it, or footage of it, should I say, on YouTube. And it's just Sepp Blatter, and he just draws someone out. It goes, Ireland. So Ireland finished second, Ireland finished third, and Ireland go out in the next round.
So Sepp Blatter takes 2 envelopes, one from Ireland, one from Holland, sees which one's got most money in it, and says, Ireland.
This is where Ireland are like, this is where it came round, isn't it? Ireland's like massive economic uprise. That's why they're like so poor and stuff back then, because they
gave Sepp Blatter so much money, yeah.
But yeah, so obviously they beat Belgium in the 120th minute, and then they completely didn't deserve to beat Cameroon. But none of that's remembered. The only three, I think correct me if I'm wrong, the 3 biggest things that you remember
about
from England in this tournament.
Well, let me tell you and see if they are what.
Go on then.
So Gaza.
Yeah, Gaza
crying. And more specifically, Lineker saying, have a word with him.
That's brilliant, that. I mean, I went for a stage of trying to do that in everyday situations. Do you know, like just give the eye, but no one got it because I probably did it so shit. So everyone, I used to do that when like people, but yeah, it didn't work anyway.
Obviously the Platt goal.
Yep, I've got that. Yep.
And what would the third be? The third would be, I suppose, was going out.
Yeah, Waddle's penalty.
Yeah,
Waddle's penalty, which is one of the worst. I've seen an interview with Waddle where he says he were going to place it, but then Stuart Pearce missed.
Hold on, do you want me to do the voice?
Yeah, you do. No,
it's all right. I don't know what he's going to say. You do.
Yeah, he said, I thought after seeing Stuart Pearce miss, he thought I'm just going to leather it, and he did leather it. And obviously, these the joke for years after whether it was still going in space. He hit it that hard, like he hit it into Mars.
Oh, he did smash it, yeah.
Absolutely. Because I'm always one of them when I watch a penalty, I say just smash it, just hit it. But then you watch Waddle and you think, maybe not actually.
Yeah, but to be fair to Chrissy Waddle, we once, I don't know if it's fair to say we saved him getting beaten up, but we once.
Oh yeah, we did. We saw Waddle in a
intervened,
pub,
didn't we? When there were a group of United fans were sort of getting
Sheffield United fans,
hostile around him, and we said, "He's all right, lads, come on." And
it was a bit. I have to admit, he had a
bit leery, weren't he?
He were getting a bit leery, and these Sheffield United fans went up to him and just like, you're a prick, you knobhead. And he went, whoa, let's go. Oh, come on, lads, he's all right. And we were said after, I goes, fucking hell, he played in the fucking World Cup semi-final. He's got these dickheads, squaring up to him in a pub. But anyway, England going to the semi-final.
But sorry, what I would say though is, to be fair to Waddle, I mean, I'm kind of going to contradict myself, because I think you've got to hit the target is the main thing. But I would always
target. Sound like Roy Keane then. He's got to hit the target.
Come on, smash the ball. He's going to hit the target. But I would rather somebody misses by blasting it than somebody tries to be clever with a little chip or a little silly little placed thing. Always whack it as hard as you can.
Yeah,
preferably within the sticks.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, England went into this game against West Germany they'd been pretty shit all tournament, and they were massive underdogs. West Germany, obviously, the best side in it by a mile. And we went back, but we were fantastic. I've watched this game, but it's one of them things you do in COVID, when there were nothing to do. And I watched the full 120 minutes on penalties of this game in COVID. England were unbelievable on the night, like one of the best England performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Went behind to a fluke goal, but came back to equalise through Lineker again. What the goal scoring superstars like sensible soccer? You're a goal scoring superstar hero. But then in extra time, it's one of the best bits of extra time I've ever seen in football. Both teams go for it. They both hit a post. Waddles, it hits a post, and it's so. Every time I watch it back, it's a bit like that Gaza one in '96. When it comes across, you think it's going to go in this time.
Yeah.
When he puts his leg out, this Waddle one, it's the inside of the post, and you're like,
yeah. The angle sort of tells you that it shouldn't come back the way that it does, really.
Yeah, but I think one of the biggest things that's happened. Well, I don't know. Gaza goes in for a challenge, mistimes it. This is an extra time.
He is late, by the way.
He is late. It is a booking. But he makes a massive meal of it, the German player. Obviously gets a booking.
They do, don't they?
Well, back in these days, they were proper. And there's a brilliant dive from Klinsmann in the final, actually, where he gets fired. It is a foul, but then he I don't know, he does like a somersault, like when he's on the floor. It's brilliant. But yeah, Gaza gets booked, which means even if England got to the final, he wouldn't be able to play. And he bursts into tears. And Bobby Robson after said, "Look, you'll come back, you'll have more of these," and he didn't. So. You imagine, if he had got to the final, it almost have been worse in a way.
I mean, obviously, he's a sort of fragile individual, unbelievably talented, but it's quite disappointing, really, that reaction, isn't it? Obviously, one of my heroes is Roy Keane. Semi-final.
I'm going to go against you a little bit. Carry on, though.
Well, I'll speak with facts, and then you can come back with whatever you want. So, semi-final, Roy Keane gets booked, knows he's going to miss the final, puts in the game of his life.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. Obviously, it matters to him, and obviously he's gutted. But then it becomes more about, well, I'll get the team there. Then I've done my bit. If I can contribute to getting the team to the final, I can't play in that game, but at least I can try and get us into that game. To just let this is a professional.
You sound
footballer.
Like Phil Leotardo off Sopranos. Cried like a fucking woman.
Frankly, he went down in my estimation.
Yeah, I think. Right, I know what you're saying, but I think
he's not a 17-year-old. This is a well-paid, established footballer.
Yeah,
but so you've got to deal with the situation. No, I'm not against. Listen, I watched an old clip of Good Night, Mr. Tom today with John Thorne. I was welling up. I'm not disputing him the emotion. I'm just saying, cry after the game, but perform in the game. That's what you're there for.
But I think so England going to lose, as everyone knows. Yeah, big baby. England obviously going to lose on pens. Waddle, as we've mentioned, the decisive penalty. But I think this match, and in particular Gaza crying, genuinely changed everything about football, good and bad. I think the drama of it all, the sadness. I think the fact Gaza crying on the pitch, this working class lad, massive drinker, big wind-up merchant, and he's there showing his emotions. And crying isn't frowned upon now, certainly not in sport. I know what you're saying, this is in the middle of the game. So it's a completely, you're making a different point. It's not the crying you're bothered about. It's the just like, oh, fucking hell.
No, it's perform. I don't mind if after the game, if he's devastated, and he's got to be consoled. But I mean, really, to be honest, as soon as you get that reaction, he's got to come off the pitch. I don't know if we had any subs left, but if you're not fit for purpose, then if you've let it get to you that much, you can't play a part in this anymore. I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, he should have took a penalty. He was down to take a penalty and he couldn't take one because he was still crying by that point. And fucking longest cry of all time. And crying for about 2 hours. But I think all this, before this, it were English, the stiff upper lip, get on with it and all that. But I do think Gaza crying had a massive bearing on almost certainly in terms of football. I think all that and the way England went out led the game to becoming more popular to a wider audience, including families. You've got to remember before this, all the England nearly got pulled out of the tournament before because they thought the hooligans were that bad. Margaret Thatcher said she didn't want them in the tournament. She wanted to pull them out of the tournament because of all the shit. After this, stadiums became safer, obviously, due to the Hillsborough disaster as well. But because women and children were getting into football. It weren't just seen as like these Neanderthal men or anything like that. It wasn't seen as like a lowbrow thing anymore. It was seen as like high class
never
drama.
heard that word said like that before.
Well,
like the sort of caveman peoples. How did you say it?
Neanderthal. No, I can't say it. Neanderthal. Neanderthal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no.
Neanderthal.
It's like a sort of Swedish crime series or something.
Yeah, Neanderthal. Yeah, really. Yeah, I don't know. Can't speak. But anyway, fucking.
I know what you mean. So, yeah, in a very sort of butch, manly game, we got to see this bit of emotion, I suppose.
And do you not think that changed football in the sense that now it became far more family friendly? Not just Gaza crying, but the whole emotion of England losing in that way. Almost, I think that for English football, that was a massive breakthrough moment, more so than if they'd have won. I think that the drama of all that game. It was suddenly cool after that and respectable to like football after just being seen like this game for thugs. That was the perception. Crowds massively rose in the aftermath of Italian night egg. Obviously, Sky bought the rights to top flight Premier League football. And for better or worse, the audience changed from what was seen as like just a working class man's game.
Crying.
I think this is all down to Paul Gascoigne crying in the middle of the pit. I think he changed the world. I think that's a good. If I wrote a book on it, the tears that changed the world. No, I do think that the drama of that one game, not necessarily Gaza crying, but the penalties and all that was the catalyst to what football is now, for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of
yeah,
Peep Show. Pour me another drink.
Pour me another drink. But I do think everything changed after this, as you know, in English football. It might have done anyway after the Hillsborough disaster, to be fair. It might have. But I think in terms of the public, your people sort of... different people watching it. We were two of them who it grabbed.
I think in a human element, I absolutely get what you're saying. That to see this kind of sporting hero so upset on the pitch, quite moving, probably made people think, do you know what? They have got a softer side. They are real people. I do get that.
And the drama as well. The drama of him crying. The best player on the pitch, which he was in that game, he can't play in the final. How unfair is that? Do you know what I mean? It all adds to this. I think this is the most... I'm going madder and madder as I'm going along here. I feel like I'm doing clickbait stuff. I think this is the most pivotal game of football in the history of England.
This is the most important moment in the human history, isn't it?
I do, honestly. People talk about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What's the most important thing that's ever happened in the world? I can't think of anything bigger than
invented fire.
We invented fire.
So you've got on one hand, you've got humans invent fire. On the other hand, you've got Paul Gascoigne crying.
And Chris Waddle missing a penalty.
It's
unbelievable,
a fine balance.
Unbelievable drama. This game is like I said. Would you have been into football if it wasn't for this game? You probably
I think so. I just think it would have took me longer to kind of find that real moment of engagement. They
wouldn't have got it in Euro '92 because we were fucking shy in that tournament. So
we
didn't qualify for '94. '94 we didn't qualify. Euro '92 we scored one goal with Graham Taylor, weren't it?
With Denmark.
Denmark won it, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. Obviously, I've seen some stat about it since, but no, I don't remember that at all.
No, but that's where that started, though. You are the number one on RTV. But like I said, this is the most important thing that's ever happened, basically, this game. The World Cup went on to be won, obviously, by West Germany, and this is the last time they compete as West Germany.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah, is this literally the last tournament? It was East.
The last game. The last game was West Germany. I believe so, anyway. Was them beating Argentina. Another fucking terrible game. Argentina had 2 men sent off. Do you know what, actually? Interestingly, at the end of this game, Maradona cries. And no one's got any sympathy for him. Even though he cries at the end of the game, as you should. Everyone going like, look at... I remember even at the time, people going, look at him. What a cheat. Because obviously he cheated 4 years earlier and no one had any sympathy for him at all. Whereas Gaza were like, poor old Gaza.
Yeah, rightly so, I think.
Team Maradona, then?
Am I Team Maradona?
Above Team Gaza in the crying wars, in the crying game?
No, I ain't got any problems with Maradona crying. I think he reaps what he sows, doesn't he? Like, he cheated his way before that, so I don't have any sympathy at all. I do sympathise with Gaza. I just think you should be professional above that, really. But no, I ain't got
I
any
can't
sympathy
believe-
at all with Maradona.
You are also the bastard child of Roy Keane, and I'm trying to think of a really hardline woman who's like Anne Robinson. Imagine them two having a kid.
No.
But
no, I
anyway,
can't,
so
no.
West Germany win it. It's the end of the tournament, and as I said, ITV do this thing about that was shy. Let's move on. Let's hope the next one's better. Now that has become, and I don't think it's just our generation, like this legendary tournament for so many reasons. Because, as I said, the moments we've not gone through half of it. You've got Gaza crying. You've got the most important thing that's ever happened in the 1-1 draw, England Germany. Ireland, obviously, Paki Bonner saving the penalty. You've
Cameroon
got Roger Milla dancing. Yeah, Totò Schillaci with his mad, wild eyes. Rudy Voller getting spat on is an iconic moment, as horrible as it is. All the Maradona crying at the end and stuff, all these iconic moments that I think trump everything in any other World Cup in terms of moments. I think if you did a top 10 moments of every World Cup, you pick 10 from here.
Yeah, this did feel like it had a lot of moments. But I mean,
Yeah,
just
it's a
to
crap
sort of-
World Cup.
Just to finish up, then, what's your favourite World Cup?
This one, because it's my
No,
first.
it
It's the
can't
one
be,
that I
'cause
watched.
I don't think you remember enough of it.
All right. I really liked. I quite liked Japan and Korea actually. I didn't like the kickoff times, but I was unemployed at the time. I just left school. I know I
When
am
our
just left
mate
school.
decided
Just left
to
college.
get sacked so he could have a nice summer on the dole. and watch
Yeah,
the
he got
World Cup.
sacked at KFC, didn't he? Yeah, so because he wanted a summer on dole.
Could have a nice summer on the dole.
Yeah. What did he do now? Can you remember what he did? Did he just not stop turning up and he ended up getting
No,
fired?
I with him. He
Oh
threatened-
yeah.
he threatened to work it.
Yeah, he threatened to work. I don't. That weren't planned. Yeah.
No, that weren't planned.
Him going back to Sopranos, isn't it?
But then they had him on camera or something, and he didn't really fight it because he fancied a nice summer on the dole.
Yeah.
He did get some sort of discount on his sandwich or something, so he went mad.
Oh yeah, that were it. Yeah, they won't give a discount on his sandwich. I don't know. What about you? What would you say off the top of your head?
France '98, I think is one that I loved. I think
That is a brilliant.
I watched
tournament,
most of
yeah.
the games. I was old enough to kind of really appreciate it. There was the drama of the final and the Ronaldo being ill and the team being ill, and England had a bit of a run, enough to kind of.
I think England doing well in a tournament, it does add to it, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Euro '96 is undeniably special, but my favourite World Cup is probably France '98.
Yeah, England actually, you say they had a run. I think they got knocked out in second round, but again, it's another good moments when we Owen's goal and you know what I mean, the penalties and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we'll probably do more World Cups as we go forward, to be honest. But if anyone ever says to me, you can only take one, I don't know, you're going to Desert Island, you can take footage of one World Cup. I'm taking Italian art. I'm just looking at the logo on it. It's unbelievable. Everything about it, the colours, unbelievable.
Yeah, and I suppose you would get Nessun Dorma as part of the package, would you? Because that might swing it for me.
Or the ITV one, the sadly overlooked ITV theme tune. But that is Italian 98, done and dusted. We might go back to Gaza at a later date, maybe. I can sort of, I don't know, talk you around.
Paul
from you
Parker,
being...
we've not mentioned Terry Butcher and his bleeding head. And that weren't this tournament, was it? But
it was qualification for this tournament. So it's sort of, you're not a big fan of Terry Butcher, are you?
no,
I don't think it's him you're not a fan of. I think you just don't like how every time he's mentioned, it'll show you a picture of him with his bleeding head.
Yeah, I suspect he carries a picture around in his wallet of him with a bleeding head, and it just every time you meet him, it would show you that picture. I think fair play, he carried on playing with a bleeding head, but
yeah, you just had to go Gaza for crying. Yeah, Paul Ince did it, didn't he? And no one, you know. Now I see Inch ready for war, Gaza good. So you're basically slagging off the entirety of this England team.
No, just like, if you watch sort of boxing,
Gaza,
then obviously fighters...
you slag Lineker off for shitting himself. You slag Gaza off for crying.
I think that's understandable. Yeah, 2 for 2.
Yeah, Butcher, because he thinks he's too hard. I'm not a big fan of Peter Shilton. I think he's way past it. His saves, his diving for the penalties are fucking so slow. It's ridiculous for the Germany game.
The picture of him being out jumped by Maradona, where he could use his hands, and people say, "Yeah, but Maradona cheated, use his hand." The mad thing is, he didn't need to do that. He could have just headed it. He's got his hand on his head.
Yeah, Waddle with his shit penalty. Pierce with his shit penalty. John Barnes did nothing. Peter Beardsley didn't score. Well, fucking shit. Fuck him. What a wank World Cup.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week, we're moving on to something. We're going to try something different, aren't we?
I think it's a natural follow-on from Italia 90, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, like, right, what would follow on? I'm guessing a lot of people listening have got it already.
Yeah.
We're going to do the film, the ITV2 daily played film, Liar Liar.
But we're going to do it with a twist. So we're not going to watch it before we do it. And we're going to try and do Liar Liar, like sort of go through the plot of Liar Liar without watching it. I think I can do this because it's been on ITV that many times, but let's see what we miss out and what we get wrong.
Yeah, I've certainly seen it 1,000 times. I don't know. It's certainly on several times a day, isn't it? So I've seen bits of it so many times, but I can't remember the last time I watched it as a film. And actually, ITV seems to it's not been on so much recently. So
Small Soldiers is a big ITV one at the moment. They love a bit of Small Soldiers on there. I don't know if I've watched that though. Small Soldiers, but yeah, we're going to try and do Liar Liar. Somebody stop me! They obviously don't say that. That's just a bit of a joke. But that's the sort of humour that you might get us getting it wrong.
Yeah, we're not going to get it. Well, it'd be amazing if we do get it scene by scene. But we're just going to remember it.
Have you seen that on Family Guy where he does a reenactment, scene by scene reenactment of Liar Liar? We're basically all going to try and do that.
No, I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah. So we are actually going to try and do that. But yeah, so join us for that. That'll be episode 5 in the bag.
Yeah, we're getting cooking now, aren't we? We
thought we'd been a bit too conservative with the first 3 or 4. So we thought we'd mix it up with a bit of madness.
Yeah, we're hopefully sort of starting to find our vibe a little bit. So yeah,
get into the groove.
The Groovy Gang. So yeah, stick with us at the Groovy Gang, and we will bring you more great content.
I will see you next time, Leroy Jenkins. Thank you for listening to Who Remembers. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us at whorememberspod@outlook.com. If you are a right-wing fascist, you can find us on Twitter at whorememberspod. Or if you're a wokener, you can find us on Blue Sky at whorememberspod. Once again, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time for more remembering.